On Friday afternoon, we will honor the greatest coach in college softball history. Yeah, you heard that right. Patty Gasso's statue will finally be unveiled at Love's Field, honoring the greatest coach this sport has ever seen. Now, I can rattle off some numbers to make the point if you'd like. 8 national championships, only programmed to win 4 consecutive titles, 17 appearances in the Women's College World Series, 1,515 wins at Oklahoma and counting, by the way. An 8-11 winning percentage. Is that good? Is that good, or do you guys want more? More? Okay. 15 Big 12 regular season titles, 16 Big 12 Player of the Year awards, 9 Big 12 Pitcher of the Year awards, 79 All-Americans, 192 All-Conference selections. She's in the NFCA Hall of Fame and 15-time Big 12 Coach of the Year. I could go on all day. I can keep doing this if you like. But just to save us all a little bit of time, guys, her nickname is the GOAT. Her nickname is the GOAT. Who else in college softball has ever had a name like that? Nobody. That's who. So yeah, the accolades speak for themselves. I really think the nickname makes the point as well, or at least it should. But what's the main point as to why Patty Gasso is the greatest to ever do it in college softball? Well, I think for starters, you look at the consistent dominance during the most competitive era the sport has ever seen. Yes, the West Coast still has very good softball teams such as UCLA, Washington, and some others. But this is a sport that has balance now from coast to coast and across several conferences. That hasn't really been the case throughout the history of the sport. The SEC is incredibly strong, the best conference now. The ACC is a strong league. The Big 12 has been really, really good as well, anchored by Oklahoma and, yes, Texas too. Heck, even the Big Ten has teams that will make a push for Oklahoma City every single season. So even though more schools are dumping money into softball, and a lot, I might add, the end result for each season hasn't changed. It's still the end result of OU dogpiling in OKC after winning the national championship, which, by the way, 4 consecutive times and 7 out of the last 11 seasons, to be exact. So in short, the last decade has been the most competitive era of college softball that we've ever seen. But in that era, we've also seen perhaps the most dominant run the sport has ever seen. And no, it's not because they play the Women's College World Series in Oklahoma City every single year. It's because Patty Gasso has won with young teams. It's because she's won with veteran teams, and she's even won with teams that have both veterans and young players in the lineup. She can win in any situation, and she has. In fact, look at these stats. At Bentley Farrell on Twitter, DM me this. If you come to OU, you win titles. It's pretty incredible when you look up and down this, and I appreciate Bentley Farrell for sending me this, but essentially, if you signed in 2009, every player that has signed since 2009 has won at least 1 national championship. And if you signed in the 2012 class to recently and you played more than 1 year at OU, you've won at least 2 national championships at Oklahoma. I mean, these numbers are insane. If you come to OU, you're going to win a national championship. We've seen that now for well over the past decade. But here's another strong point as to why Patty Gasso is the greatest to ever do it. Consider this. Patty has won in different eras of the sport. She won big when it was the traditional college model pre-transfer portal era. As of right now, how many college coaches can you say that about? She won in that era, but she's won even more with the biggest changes that we've ever seen in collegiate athletics with NIL and the transfer portal. That wasn't easy for anyone to navigate, Oklahoma included, by the way, but they were able to navigate it and put together the first four-peat this sport has ever seen. So no matter the change to the sport, and again, the sport has changed significantly since she arrived at OU, one thing has been constant, and that's Oklahoma softball under Patty Gasso. She changed the landscape of the sport, and she shifted the power. No longer is it a sport dominated by West Coast teams. It's a sport that's now dominated by the University of Oklahoma. But here's another thought on more teams getting a lot better quickly. Why are so many athletic departments dumping money into softball when historically it's a sport that's kind of been on the back burner at most universities? I have a theory, and my theory is pretty simple. Patty Gasso in Oklahoma. Why Patty Gasso in OU? Well, OU has led the way in the incredible growth of college softball. In fact, I think you'd be hard-pressed to find a college sport that's grown more in the past decade than college softball. The interest says that. The attendance says that. And the TV viewership says that as well. And no one has led the way more than Oklahoma softball and Patty Gasso. Think about it. They had to build a new stadium to accommodate all of the OU fans that want to see this program. And it's still packed every single game. When this team goes on the road, there's people cramming to get in just to get a glimpse of the Sooners. We've seen some programs who don't charge for admission to games actually charge people when OU comes to town, and it still sells out. Nobody has the national profile in this sport like Oklahoma does, and regardless of what coast they're on, people come in droves to see this program. And yeah, that's the power of Patty Gasso and the program that she's built. Now, there's going to be a statue of her in front of her palace, and it's fitting that the greatest to ever do it will now be forever honored in front of the best facility that college softball has to offer. So back to the theory that Patty and OU have led the way in more schools showing more of a commitment to softball. Why has that been the case? Because Oklahoma has shown everyone else that having a great college softball program can expose your brand, university brand, to a national audience. Oklahoma has shown routinely that with a great product, fans will flock to the ballpark. Oklahoma has shown that this sport can generate money, and it has. Oklahoma has shown that there's reasons why you should invest in college softball because the returns this sport can provide are incredible. For instance, ABC is airing softball games now. Not just ESPN, ESPN2, ESPNU, SEC Network, but ABC is showing the rest of the world and the rest of the country what this sport has to offer. It's really hard to find another coach in another collegiate program that's helped fuel the growth of the sports like OU softball has. And sure, there's people that can't stand OU for winning as much as they do. I hear it all the time. But at the end of the day, those people should be thanking Patty Gasso and OU because without their dominance and without raising the profile of college softball, it's pretty likely that a lot of those schools, if not all of them, don't have the resources that they're enjoying today. Patty Gasso's first national championship was in 2000. Her most recent national championship came in 2024. 24 years between titles. That's a very underrated fact about her career. Because think about it. Next summer will be a quarter century since her first title, and all she's done since then in the golden era of the sport is win, win, win. This is the golden era of college softball. I'm hopeful that even better days are ahead for this sport. There's a lot of people to thank for that, not just one person, not just one team, but it's hard to find someone that's single-handedly more responsible for growing college softball like Patty Gasso has. This is the golden era of the sport, and the consistent, sustained dominance is something extremely rare, not just in college softball, but across all sports. So to win a national championship 24 years ago, her first, but then after 2 decades to look up and say, oh yeah, they have the best college softball program out there, is an incredible run that frankly may never be duplicated again in the sport. And oh, by the way, Patty Gasso has done all of this by leading the program that any fan could be proud of. No off-the-field drama, no me attitude, no arrests, anything like that. Just a group of kids every single year that do things the right way and represent their school in an incredible way, which I think is really cool. So yeah, I believe that she's the greatest college softball coach ever. I actually think that she's the greatest OU coach ever. And she's even one of the greatest collegiate coaches ever as well. So Coach Gasso, congrats to you. All the best. Can't wait to see what you continue to accomplish at Oklahoma. The statue is well-deserving. The fan base is incredibly happy for you. Salute to Coach Gasso, the greatest to ever do it at the University of Oklahoma.